138 MMA here to break down UFC Fight Night Sandhagen versus Song. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. We're glad to have you. I'm going to start with the early prelims and go all the way up to the main event of the night. If this is not your first time here, welcome back. Glad to see you again. Don't forget to toss a like for me if you already love this content. If you are new to the channel and you do find by the end of this video that you like this content and would like to see more of it, don't forget to subscribe. But without any further ado, let's kick this night off, starting with the early prelims. All right, getting the card started this week. We've got Nikolas Motta taking on Cameron VanCamp. Now, something I want to point out that this fight is at 155 pounds and actually was scheduled once before, but that fight fell out. Here we are, many months later. We finally get the matchup. I'm sure you've all been waiting patiently for this one, just chomping at the bit. I'm just kidding. This is a good fight, though. So what we got? Nikolas Motta coming in 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Cameron VanCamp 4-1 in his last 5. The biggest difference on paper here that you're going to see between these two, right there, the height. So 6'2" for VanCamp. This guy is 6'2", fights at lightweight, 155. We got 5'9" over here from Motta, which is a normal size lightweight. Not like he's super short. But when you're going up against somebody that is as tall and as rangy as Cameron VanCamp, that is going to play a factor. Something I do want to put into here before we get too far into this. Last fight was short notice for Cameron VanCamp. He stepped up at 170 against Andre Fialho. We all know how that went for him. He got knocked out. What do you expect? Fialho's pretty damn good. So with a guy like that, it's taking it on short notice, up a weight class from what you're accustomed to. I know he's had some fights at welterweight on the regional scene, but I know that his bread gets buttered at the 155-pound division. So for Cameron VanCamp, you look at the last fight, and he did okay while it lasted. He didn't do terribly. He didn't look awful. Obviously, he got knocked out, so that didn't look good, but he looked fine. Something I'd like to see him do in this fight, if he wants to get the win, would be to use his grappling a little bit more, because he's going up against another good striker in Nikolas Motta here. Motta's striking is really crisp, and he works in combination. So he works in combination, which is something that a lot of strikers don't do in the UFC or in MMA in general, because it's so easy to want to throw single shots for fear of getting taken down, or you'll end up in the clinch because you overcommit and fall forward to end up against the cage. But Motta is able to use his kicks, his punches, string them all together into some pretty good combinations. Something, like I said, you don't see very often. However, that shorter stature for him, he's going to have to go up against Cameron VanCamp, who isn't lost on the feet, but will also be able to hit Motta far sooner than Motta will be able to hit VanCamp. So for me, VanCamp has the advantage on the grappling, and the range is going to give him just the slightest bit of more leeway than he had in his last fight against Fialho, and I think he did okay against Fialho. So for me, I'm going to lean VanCamp here as an underdog. So kicking off the card, we've got ourselves an underdog in Cameron VanCamp. Nikolas Motta has a pretty good chance here. I wouldn't go wild on this one, but I'm gonna take Cameron VanCamp for the pick here. So we'll see how it goes. If he totally falls apart in this one or gets knocked out again, we're gonna have to start fading him from then on out. But I do think there is some upside on Cameron VanCamp, and I think this is a good matchup for him stylistically. All right, next up, I'm going to start off by saying there are a lot of really, really, really close matchups on this card, this being the first of them. I've still gone back and forth on this pick quite a few times. I may change it yet this week, but right now we have Tony Gravely taking on Javid Basharat. Now, Basharat 5-0 in his last 5 fights. He is actually still undefeated, I do believe, versus Tony Gravely's 4-1 in his last 5. Both guys have obviously been really impressive lately. Those records show that. We get into the height here. 5'5" for Gravely. He has kind of struggled with range due to being the shorter guy on more than one occasion. Where we also have Basharat at 5'9", so clearly a bit of a height advantage there. This fight is going to come down to a couple of different avenues here. If Gravely can close range, which is going to be tough with that height there, if he can close range and use his strong wrestling skills, Gravely should be able to get this fight to the ground, and that's going to help him a lot. If he doesn't get that done, Basharat should be able to keep it at range and land more shots from distance. He does have a decent takedown defense. It's not the end of the world if Gravely gets in close, Basharat still could be able to work his way away from that takedown, but I would say that if the fight gets to the mat, Gravely does have a pretty good top pressure. He is usually able to do some decent ground and pound. He does have some pretty good power. So the higher level of experience for Gravely versus the lower level of experience for Basharat also kind of scares me a little bit in this one for Basharat. I'm also hesitant to pick Gravely because the rangier fighters have been winning a lot lately in the UFC. It's just hard to cover that distance. That's the thing. So in this fight, you have Gravely as a slight underdog against Basharat coming in. I don't know the exact number. It's like -1, low 100s. So anyway, you got Basharat as a slight favorite right now. At the time of filming this anyway. I don't know what it'll be at come fight day. But so for me, I think this fight is going to... This fight, if you run it 10 times, I think 5 wins go to each guy. That's how close this fight is for me. Leave it off your book. If you're a total degenerate and you have to bet the whole dang card, okay, fine. But for me, I just could not bet this fight. I mean, I'm gonna just the slightest pick Basharat at this time. He is undefeated. He hasn't really shown any reason for me to not pick him. Although Gravely has shown a lot of upside. You got to go with the guy that hasn't shown any reason not to pick him, at least from this standpoint on one where you believe it is a 50-50 style fight. For me, I think I'm going to have to go with Basharat here. So let me know if you've got if you've got Gravely. Let me know if you've got him in the comments, please. I wouldn't blame you a bit. I do think there's a lot of upside for Gravely. Whether you've got Gravely or Basharat, though, my goodness, leave this one off your betting slip. Unless you know something I don't know. This fight is way too close. But we'll see you in the next fight. Let me know what you think. Hit that like. Don't forget. In our next match, we have Mariya Agapova taking on Gillian Robertson. Now, Gillian Robertson coming in 2-3 in her last 5. 3-2 over here for Agapova. This fight is going to be a very interesting one for me. And my reasoning behind it might sound a little strange. Before I give you the pick, though, we're going to kind of cover some things and figure out where we're going from there. So right out of the gate, the first takedown, that's going to be crucial in this match. Agapova has aggressive grappling and striking. She just comes forward with reckless abandon. She's shown that in just about every one of her fights. Probably why she shows a lack of cardio as well, because she comes forward with reckless abandon, and you can only do that for so long. On the other hand, Gillian Robertson, slick jiu-jitsu, slick wrestling. She actually, I believe, has the most finishes in her division, so in the women's flyweight division. In this matchup, though, here's the thing. Robertson, slick BJJ, slick wrestling. The problem, these are offensive. She doesn't have the same attributes in these defensively. So offensively, her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu looks great. Offensively, her wrestling looks great. But if you get her on her back, she will lay there and let you hammer her face into the mat. That is what I think happens here. Agapova being the more aggressive fighter, I think she's going to get this one done. And the reason I say that, do I think Gillian Robertson has a path to victory? Oh, yes, she does. If she can get the fight to the mat on her terms, absolutely. Obviously, she has the most finishes in the division. But Gillian Robertson, I don't believe Gillian Robertson can have the success against someone who starts as fast as Agapova does and as aggressively as Agapova does in this matchup. Now, if it goes past the first round and she has a great first round, if Agapova has a great first round and the live odds are swelled on her side, you could probably bet on Robertson because realistically, Agapova's done after that first round in most cases. I can't recall a fight where she hasn't been. So, realistically, I'm going to take Agapova here to totally just demolish Robertson in the first round. But then, if she doesn't, time to switch it up live bet and hedge that off. So, that's my prediction here. For the pick, I'll say Agapova, but don't forget what I said. If it goes past the first round, I would not be confident in Agapova from then on, unless she does so much damage that Robertson just cannot come back from it. So, anyway, that's the pick. Let me know what you think. If you think I'm crazy, that's okay. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. I also wouldn't recommend throwing a bunch of money on this one. This is not my most confident pick of the night. She is an underdog. If you're getting real wild, maybe a quarter unit, half unit at most. I'm not confident in her. But I do think she gets the win. So let me know what you think. I would love to hear your opinion. Moving right along, we have Trey Ogden taking on Daniel Zellhuber. Now in this one, we got 5-0 for Zellhuber here and 3-2 for Ogden. Ogden coming off that loss to Jordan Levitt. Real strange fight, but he looked okay. He looked okay there. For Zellhuber, obviously, he's never lost. He's undefeated prospect, coming in strong. So let's break down some of the pros and cons here. The first thing I want to point out, the number one thing I have written down, though, for Zellhuber is that he has a good chin. Realistically, I probably should have switched these, but I wanted to highlight this. So he has a strong chin from what we've seen so far from his fights, which is good, but it's not usually something that, it's not usually a good sign if you're highlighting that as one of his biggest strengths. I think it's also because we just haven't had enough time to see what he really has to offer at a high level. He does have really good striking, though. He can put combinations together. So he has the edge over Ogden there, whereas Ogden is a single-shot striker, which plays well to this style of striking. Good striker with a good chin. If you're throwing single shots here, he can eat one to give 2, 3, 4. On the other hand, we have a decent grappler for Ogden. He did not get submitted by Jordan Levitt, and Jordan Levitt is slick on the mat. I don't care what anybody says. I know he got submitted by Paddy Pimblett. Levitt had some moments in that fight where you were thinking, okay, maybe he gets Pimblett here. So with that said, Pimblett's a great grappler. Levitt took it to him at times in that fight. Obviously, Pimblett got the win, but Ogden isn't on either of their level. But he did come close against Jordan Levitt. So with that said, decent grappler. If he gets this to the mat, it could be in his favor. Probably most likely in his favor. We haven't seen enough of Zellhuber against good high-quality grapplers yet to really make a determining factor. But for me, there's way too many unknowns in this fight for me to play the odds. But I do like Zellhuber just a little bit. I don't think it's worth playing the odds here. The odds are steep, minus 240 or 250, something like that. For Zellhuber, I could see Ogden getting a path to victory of getting the fight to the ground. But yeah, I'll take Zellhuber. If you have something that you think about Ogden has a better option here for then just going to the ground or throwing single shots and hoping for the best, let me know. I haven't been always impressed with Ogden's activity level, so maybe you know something I don't. With that said, if maybe you're really high on Zellhuber and you say, hey, you know what? I think it's worth laying the chalk, let me know. Because if you know something I don't know, I would love to know it. But I'll see you in the next video. This one, I just don't have enough for it. There's better fights on this card. There's better fights on this card from a betting perspective, and there's also better fights on this card for some more detailed breakdowns. This one, I think, we haven't seen enough of either of them at a high level. So, like I said, taking Zellhuber, let me know. Next up, the 3-2 Loma Lookboonmee taking on the 5-0 Denise Gomes. So for this matchup, it should be on paper a Muay Thai match with MMA gloves. That's never how it plays out, but that's how it should be. Both of these ladies typically want to use their Muay Thai. That is what they are best at. That is their strength for both of them. For Gomes, it is a short notice fight. She did just fight on Dana White's Contender Series. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Not very long ago, like really recently. I think it was last week. Could be wrong. But anyway, so Gomes, she fought really recently on Dana White's Contender Series, taking this fight on short notice, stepping up to take on Loma Lookboonmee, whose original opponent backed out. Or actually, I think she got injured. With the Muay Thai, though, Lookboonmee seems to have I would say she has the edge in Muay Thai. She does also have the better level of competition that she's faced. So for me, I think this one's pretty cut and dry. You can't really go off of what we don't know. Neither of them really seem to be wanting to grapple. I would say Lookboonmee takes the edge in the striking. So I'm going to pick Lookboonmee. Not confident whatsoever. She has been training for this fight. Coming off of another fight just recently. Short notice taking this fight. At the record, a little bit salty. Hasn't faced as good of level competition. For me, I'm going to take Lookboonmee. But like I said, this is another one of those fights where, man, like, these are close. There's a lot of really close fights. So matchmakers in the UFC, they lined these really well. They got these fights just set up to be pretty even bouts throughout the card. Most of them. There's a couple of couple of mismatches, and we'll get to a couple of those pretty soon. But for this one, I think it's too close to do anything with. Lookboonmee, I'll take her for the pick, just for the sake of a pick, just with the better Muay Thai. But let me know what you think. If you think Gomes is going to surprise me and come out just far superior, let me know. Maybe you know her personally. Let me know. A real tricky matchup in the next one. We have Sara McMann taking on Aspen Ladd. Both ladies coming in 2-3 in their last 5 fights. Something that really stands out to me, though. The over 40-year-old Sara McMann in her last fight against Carol Hossa came out there and just put on a grappling blanket. That's what she did. It was good. It was really impressive. Took her down, smothered her with top control. Landed some shots, good, but that top control was amazing. Something we hadn't seen from her in a little while, at least not to that level. So that was really impressive in her last fight at over 40. She's came back, got that win. Aspen Ladd, on the other hand, also good top control. Struggles to work well off of her back. Probably the better of the two strikers. And it's a close call, but for me, this fight is simple. I'm leaving it off the card. I suggest you leaving it off the card. 2-3 in their last 5, both of them. Neither of them are trustworthy. But if I'm to make a pick, I'm going to go with Sara McMann here. I just feel like she has the better wrestling. Obviously, the background she has is pretty top level. So I'm going to go with Sara McMann here. But let me know if you think I'm wrong in the comments. Like I said, I always love to hear what you guys say. And if you agree with me, let me know why you agree. So see you in the next video. All right, a matchup I'm really looking forward to. We have Luis Cosce taking on Trevin Giles. Giles coming in 3-2 in his last 5 fights, 4-1 on the other side for Cosce. This one has me intrigued for a couple of reasons. The first things first, let's mention the height. 6 foot to 5'9". The reach is going to be a big advantage for Giles here because Cosce needs to get this fight in close, obviously being the shorter guy, to deliver his 2 strengths. His 2 biggest strengths are obvious to me: KO power, strong offensive wrestling. Those are the 2 paths to victory for Cosce. On the other side, Giles is going to be the more technical striker, which is good for him being the taller fighter. He can keep Cosce at range with that. I do think he should have success there. He did impress me in his fight with Michael Morales, although he lost, but I didn't give him a chance whatsoever in that fight. Morales is looking like a beast coming into this fight. Big favorite, rightfully so. I didn't give Giles a chance at all in that fight, but he had some seriously good moments in that fight before he did end up losing, obviously. But he had some good moments in that fight, better than I thought he was going to do. So that impressed me a little bit. The problem, here's where we have KO power on the Cosce side, and we have the kryptonite over here, right hand to ground and pound. That is how Giles has lost his last 2 fights. Right hand, ground and pound. Almost exactly. So one of them, I believe, was a counter right hand. The other one's just a right hand. But right hand to ground and pound is how he's losing his fights. What does Cosce have? A strong right hand. He might not even need the ground and pound after that. So I don't mind a shot on Cosce here if you're looking for an underdog. But I do think Trevin Giles is the better fighter all around. And for me, he is my pick for this fight. I'm going to go with Trevin Giles. If you've got Cosce, let me know. Let me know if you think it's going to be the KO power or the offensive wrestling or even something else. But for me, like I said, Trevin Giles is my pick. Folks, I got to be honest with you. I hate this matchup. And the reason why is because I typically pick both of these guys to win in just about any one of their fights. So obviously in my last 10 fights, I was picking right for both of these guys. 9-1 would be my record picking these guys. Here's the thing, though. I can't pick both of them in this fight. Pat Sabatini 5-0 in his last 5, 4-1 for Damon Jackson. Both of these guys, I like both of them a lot. Both of them have solid upside. The height advantage goes to Damon Jackson. Both of them are massively strong grapplers. Big, super strong gas tank, super solid chin, big time minute winner. These guys both have a ton of upside. Leave this one off your card. Don't bet on this fight. Please, for the love of God, do not bet on this fight because I told you a pick and you thought, oh yeah, the 138 MMA guy told me to pick that one. No, I'm going to make a pick because this is a predictions video. But man, both of these guys should win all of their fights. Not all of their fights. That's an exaggeration. Both of these guys win most of their fights, and neither of these guys do I think has a clear-cut advantage. I'm going to just the slightest bit edge Pat Sabatini in this pick. It's the slightest edge. You can never count out Damon Jackson. Never. Never at all. Damon Jackson wins minutes. Damon Jackson is good with his submissions. Damon Jackson is a solid wrestler, solid jiu-jitsu practitioner. Pat Sabatini, all the same skills. Just different ways of getting to some of them. I'm going to lean Pat Sabatini. If you've got Damon Jackson, I probably agree with whatever reasoning you have. I wish I could pick both of these guys. I wish they were both fighting somebody else on this card. But like I said, I got to make a pick. We're going Pat Sabatini. Let me know what you think. If you haven't liked this video yet, like the video. This one's straining me to make because there's too many razor-thin fights. If you don't like the video, well, then don't like it. In fact, why are you still watching it at this point? We're pretty deep into the card. But if you like this and you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Pat Sabatini, Damon Jackson fights. I've got to make a pick between these two. Come on, the least you can do is give me a subscription here. But yeah, we'll see you in the next fight. We got some other ones on the card that I feel a little bit more confident in some of my picks. So see you there. All right, and here we go. Finally a fight. I can feel really good about my pick, at least until Saturday. So we have Anthony Fluffy Hernandez taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. Barriault coming in 3-1-1. That no contest. He did pop for a substance called Osterine. I guess that's what that's called. I don't know. I've never taken this stuff, so I don't know. 3-2 for Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. I really like this fight, and let me tell you why. Both guys put a strong pace forward. Both guys have pretty decent striking. The edge, though, I think goes to Anthony Hernandez when he gets to the grappling. He has deceptive jiu-jitsu that people don't tend to see coming. I mean, when you submit the black belt hunter, obviously you get cemented as a good jiu-jitsu artist, I will say. You get submitted there. If you get submitted by someone and you are known as the black belt hunter, you got to give up that title. He's the new black belt hunter, if you ask me. The fluffy black belt hunter. But with that, Anthony Hernandez has great pace, great cardio, good pop on his shots, grappling solid. Barriault has some of the same skills. He has the good pace. He has the good striking. Where I think that this changes a little bit is I think Hernandez is just a little bit better in most areas. And for me, I feel pretty good about the Hernandez pick at, I believe, at -170 is what I saw last. I like that. I like Hernandez here. Solid parlay piece, maybe, if you're feeling wild. I like him solo, though. Playing him single. Sure, at -170, you're laying a little chalk there, but I don't mind that. Anthony Hernandez is a good fighter. I think he gets this one done. It's not a lock, but I do think Anthony Hernandez has a pretty good upside here. So I'm taking Anthony Hernandez. If you've got the other side here in Barriault, let me know. If you've got Anthony Hernandez, let me know. If you're more confident in Anthony Hernandez than I am and you've bet the house on him, let me know. But there is part of me that just enjoys that Anthony Hernandez character, that swagger that he carries into the cage. So there is that. I don't think that has clouded my judgment in this pick at all. He isn't a Julian Erosa, if you watched my video last week. He's not Julian Erosa to me, where that guy's my guy. But I do like Anthony Hernandez here. I'll see you in the next video. Another matchup I really like on this card. We've got Rodrigo Mascimento taking on Tanner Boser. Tanner Boser 3-2 in his last 5. 3-1-1 for Mascimento. Mascimento's one extra one is a no contest. It was the Alen Badeau fight. He did get that overturned, I believe, but it still shows as a no contest on his record. So for the sake of this video, it's going to show a no contest. He did beat Badeau in that fight after looking very poor in the first round, but he did beat Badeau in that fight. So use that for what you will. He could be 4-1. He's 3-1-1 in this video. For that, we've got two fighters who both have a path to victory here. I will say the solid grappling on Mascimento's side is his best path to victory. I know he knocked out Badeau. Badeau is not that good. I hate to say that. He is a UFC fighter, or was a UFC fighter. He just wasn't UFC level. So in comparison to other UFC level fighters, Alen Badeau is not that good. Tanner Boser, on the other hand, he's all right. He's pretty good. Decent all-around type of guy. So he can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Good on the striking, good in the clinch, good on the ground, but not really an expert anywhere. His striking pace, though, I do really like that. He can put a pace on you when he needs to. On the other hand, the grappling advantage clearly goes to Mascimento. I wouldn't count on him in the striking. Yeah, he can throw a bomb. I mean, this is heavyweight MMA, but I think the striking department is in favor of Tanner Boser here. One thing I don't like about Tanner Boser when he's striking is he reacts to shots. When he gets hit, his reactions are more dramatic than they really should be, and I think that cost him rounds. I think that is what cost him the fight against Andrei Arlovski. I originally had picked Andrei Arlovski to win that fight. He did win that fight on paper. I still think it was a very close fight. I don't think it was a robbery. It was a good fight. I picked Andrei Arlovski. A lot of people thought that Tanner Boser won that fight. It was really close. Yeah, I mean, if I'm Tanner Boser, I think I won that fight. If I'm Andrei Arlovski, I think I won that fight as well. It was a good fight, though. It was a really close fight, back and forth. But yeah, the reaction to shots, my point, he reacts too much to a lot of shots. Yeah, you're getting punched in the face, so I get it. But at the same time, not everybody reacts that way. And I think that's what costs him close rounds sometimes, especially in that Arlovski fight. However, on the other hand, the Alen Barriault fight for Rodrigo Mascimento. Mascimento got beat up in that first round against Barriault. And Barriault, like I said, isn't great. He's not top-level UFC fighter. You shouldn't be getting beat by Alen Barriault. Almost everybody in the UFC that has fought Barriault has beaten him. Maybe everybody. I don't know that he has a win in the UFC. Maybe he does. I haven't looked at his record in a while. Maybe he does, but I can't think of any. So Rodrigo Mascimento, he can beat some of the lower-level guys. Tanner Boser, he's beaten some better guys. The thing that impressed me, though, I'm most impressed from Tanner Boser in a loss that he had, though, it was against Cyril Gane. And the reason I'm impressed is because he withstood Cyril Gane much better than anybody should withstand Cyril Gane. Went the distance with him, fought pretty competitively. Obviously, he lost the fight, but it was a good showing. Tanner Boser and Cyril Gane are on two vastly different levels. I mean, Cyril Gane's looking for a title fight here. Tanner Boser's got a long way to go before he gets one, but he looked good in that fight. So when you've got a guy that looked really good in a loss versus a guy that looked really poor in a win, you kind of somewhere meet in the middle. I do think Tanner Boser's the better fighter here between the two. I am going to pick him to win. He's around minus 170 or so. Playable odds. I don't mind it. If you have an over 1.5 line on your book, that's a nice one right there. Over 1.5, I would say, is pretty good. Obviously, they're heavyweights, so there is a potential finish in the fight. However, I do think the over 1.5 plays pretty well for you. If you put that with the Tanner Boser side, not a bad night there. But I'm going to pick Tanner Boser. If you got Mascimento, let me know. But I expect you to put that down in the comments before you come back to this video after the fight. If Mascimento pulls off the upset, in my opinion, a big upset, gets the win, and you come back and tell me, I told you so, yeah, you dummy, you should have picked Mascimento, you better have had a comment in this comment section saying you picked Mascimento, because I can't pick Mascimento. Not after Barriault put it on him in that first round. Boser should be able to put it on him pretty well. Should be able to cruise to either a pretty comfortable decision or a late fight stoppage. So Tanner Boser for me. Let me know what you got. This one should be pretty quick. We have Alen Amedovski taking on Joseph Pyfer. For Pyfer, 3-2 in his last 5, 2-3 for Amedovski. As you see here, he's 0-3 in the UFC. I don't think very highly of Amedovski. I think they're just feeding him to Joseph Pyfer to build that excitement off of the week 1 of Dana White's Contender Series this year. I think the power, the wrestling of Joseph Pyfer should be able to get this done. He's over a minus 400 favorite for obvious reasons. Amedovski hasn't looked good against even low-level UFC fighters. I think Amedovski is just cannon fodder in this match. And I hate to say that. If Amedovski finds this video, he's going to think I'm a real jerk. But come on, man. You got 0-3 in the UFC. What do you expect me to think? Joseph Pyfer is probably going to get the win here. He did have that loss his first time on the Contender Series, that slam with the dislocated shoulder or what have you. I don't like that one at all, but I don't see any way that Joseph Pyfer loses this, short of a freak injury or anything like that. It is MMA, things happen, but yeah, Joseph Pyfer should be a pretty easy pick for me here. If you're crazy enough to pick Amedovski, let me know in the comments, because I don't see how. Maybe you can let me know why. But yeah, for me, Joseph Pyfer. In this one here, we have Bill Algeo taking on Andre Fili. This is a matchup between two guys who can get things done in similar ways. Bill Algeo 3-2 in his last 5. Andre Fili 1-3-1, with that one no contest being a eye poke, causing the fight to end there. Didn't get far enough to make it a judge's decision. It was a no contest. So for these two guys, similar styles, both like to weaponize cardio, weather the storm, carry through that way. Andre Fili, training out of Team Alpha Male, Uriah Faber's gym, so the wrestling's there. Those guys all come to wrestle typically. But Fili does have some pretty good striking, so not bad that way. Bill Algeo, very similar style. He is taking this one on short notice, so take that for what you will. Some fighters do well on short notice, some don't. I do and I don't like this matchup. It scares me. And the reason why, I do think Bill Algeo is going to win. So I'm going to tell you that ahead of time. So I do think Bill Algeo is going to win. The reason it scares me, Andre Fili has fought much better competition. His salty record here in his last 5 fights, that 1-3-1, that's against much higher level competition than what Bill Algeo is fighting. So for Bill Algeo, the 3-2, he's looked good. His last fight, he looked really good, actually. Beat the brakes off of Herbert Burns. Herbert Burns also gassed out, but Algeo sure made that look good. So I do like Algeo. He's been an underdog. I believe he opened as a favorite, switched to an underdog, and now it's coming back the other way again, so he might become a favorite again. Here's the smart move. If you can still get to Algeo while he's still an underdog and play Algeo, whatever you play on him, in the event that Andre Fili becomes the underdog again, you're evened out. You hedge it off with whatever you've played on Algeo. Why do I say that? Because then, if you play them both at dog money, you're guaranteed a winning. It doesn't matter. At that point, it's whoever you've got bigger plus money on. And you always take the free money, okay? Unless you have a reason to think that it's very lopsided one way or the other, take the free money. It's crazy not to. However, in the event that it doesn't tip and Bill Algeo stays around even money or they end up both at pick'em odds, I still think Bill Algeo is the better pick. So going that route, not a bad move. I wouldn't mind seeing a pick on Bill Algeo. I do think he's going to win here just based on what's happened recently. MMA is very much what have you done for me recently. That 1-3-1 does not look good. I know it's against better competition than Bill Algeo has been fighting, but Bill Algeo has been looking good. He's been looking good against lesser levels of competition than Andre Fili. I just don't see... I'm going to go with the youth and the less damage over the career. Although Bill Algeo's taken some damage too. But I'm going to favor the guy who's looked better in recent fights. So for me, I'll take Bill Algeo. I wouldn't blame somebody for picking Fili. Like I said, there's a ton of close fights on this card. There's very few fights that I could say, oh yeah, that was an easy pick. Because when I was breaking down this card, man, I was going back and forth. I was switching my picks. This one's a tough one to pick from a betting perspective. I don't like very much on it. So if you're here looking to get rich on this card, don't. There's a couple of good plays I like. Most of them, no, not so much. I would take Algeo while you can still get him at underdog money. If it switches before you get there, just leave it off your slip. Andre Fili could get the win. I'm not confident enough in him to play him solo. I'd only take him if I was able to hedge it off and get a guaranteed win. If I can get both of them at plus money, plus 115 or so, say plus 110, 115 or so. But then you're guaranteed to win. But I'll take Algeo here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like always, if you've made it this far in the video and you haven't liked the video, why are you still watching this video? Like the video. Because obviously you like it. You've stuck around this long. So go ahead and like it for me, would you? If you'd like to see more of this content in the future, please subscribe. If you wouldn't like to see more of this content in the future, don't bother subscribing. Plain and simple. But we'd love to have you stick around on the channel. I enjoy coming in back and forth with you guys in the comments section. I love that discussion. We had some really good discussion on Dana White's Contender Series this last Tuesday. I loved it. I picked a couple of them right, a couple of them wrong. I ended up 3-2. So, hey, let me know what you think on this fight. Let me know what you think on the Contender Series fights. Stick around on the channel. We'd love to have you. Drop the like. We'll see you soon. This fight's a good one. There's a lot of good ones on the card. Not a lot of easy picks, though. So next fight's going to be a banger. See you on that one. Folks, I'm starting to feel bad here. We've got another fight that is a razor-thin matchup between Chidi Njokuani and Gregory Rodriguez. In this fight, they're both 4-1 in their last 5. Both guys are absolute savages. Both guys are knocking people out, getting those TKOs. We got a standing TKO on the record for Gregory Rodriguez with his standing TKO of Jin Young Park. Broke my heart. I had Jin Young Park in that one. Learned my lesson. Gregory Rodriguez is a damn good striker. Chidi Njokuani, also a damn good striker. Top-level Muay Thai. That Muay Thai is sick. Goes to the body like a champ. Kicks, punches the body, doesn't matter. On the other hand, Gregory Rodriguez has a chin that can handle any of the shots that Njokuani's throwing down there. Njokuani does have the 4-inch reach advantage. So for Chidi here, the thing that stands out to me, Gregory Rodriguez has a really solid grappling base as well as his striking. On the other hand, Njokuani he's improved vastly in his grappling, but it's the edge, I would say, goes to Rodriguez in the grappling. The edge goes to Chidi just the littlest bit on the striking. I would say because of the Muay Thai that he has such a high level of with the reach advantage, I would say that Chidi probably has just the slightest bit better striking, whereas Rodriguez has the slightest bit better grappling. Guys, this is a close fight, though. You could pick either of these guys, and I wouldn't blame you a bit. I'm going to favor Chidi Njokuani here. I've gone back and forth on this one 100 times again. Rodriguez is solid. Dude walks forward, got a strong chin, got a lot of good strikes. Not going to back down from anybody. That Jin Young Park fight was a blast to watch, let's be honest. Njokuani's been wrecking people in the UFC, knocking people out left and right. One of the guys on this card, Marc-Andre Barriault, just pieced him up pretty dang quick. Plenty of wins for Chidi Njokuani recently. Looking really good. The guy's been around. Both guys have been around. Both guys have good solid records against good competition. Yeah, I mean, you got to pick one, though. That's what I'm here to do. I'm going to take Njokuani. I won't be surprised either way. Somebody's getting finished, though. I mean, neither of these guys are willing to just point it out. So if you're smart, you're playing inside the distance, but it's probably juice to the gills. So I don't even know what the line is on that. But if you can get inside the distance at under -200, it's probably a pretty solid bet. Either guy inside the distance is a good bet if you're confident in one side more than the other. For me, though, I'll take Njokuani for the pick. But yeah, I couldn't bet on this. Are you kidding me? So let me know what you think. As always, that comment section will be buzzing. Let's go. On the next one, we're getting close. This is the co-main event of the evening. We're going to be seeing the big main event coming next. Yadong Song versus Corey Sandhagen. Main event. We were supposed to get Giga Chikadze and Sadiq Youssef in that co-main event slot. Fight fell out. Chikadze's hurt or something like that. He pulled out. So this is our new co-main event. Still a good fight. Still something that I think this is a great co-main event, honestly. So for as long as this one lasts, we're going to be seeing fireworks. The main event, same idea. Should be fireworks. So let's get into that one. Guys, it is finally time for our main event. We've got Corey Sandhagen taking on Yadong Song in the main event tonight. 4-1 for Song, 2-3 for Sandhagen in their last 5. The Sandhagen last 3 losses are to Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan, and TJ Dillashaw. So obviously those 3 losses are high level competition, but still 2-3 in his last 5 doesn't look great on paper. The height does 5'11", 70-inch reach, 5'8", 76-inch reach for Song. So the physical advantages as far as the reach and height in the favor of Sandhagen. Over for Yadong Song, that 5-on-in looks pretty nice at 4-1. We have a good matchup here. Like I said, it is close on paper. Both guys are very good strikers. Typically, the striking for Sandhagen is a bit more of a dynamic approach. Punches, kicks, knees, elbows. Those flying knees are scary from Sandhagen. On the other hand, from Song, the approach is more of a boxing-based approach. So for Yadong Song, he wants to throw his hands. Does a little in the kicking department, but not a ton. The boxing is where he really stakes his claim, if you will. He's a young prospect, though. Tons of experience at only 24 years of age. He has a very, very strong 26 fights, I want to say. 26 fights at 24 years of age. The guy has a lot of experience for being as young as he is, so there's a bright future for him. Obviously, put together a solid record with that young age that he has. For Corey Sandhagen, though, close fights with really top-tier talent. I have a pro and con on that one because obviously he's losing those fights, so that's not good. But he is having close fights with guys that are either champion, fighting for a championship, or former champions. Actually, all of them are at least former champions. Sandhagen is a guy that has close fight with TJ Dillashaw. That fight, I would say, could have gone either way. Had a really back-and-forth fight with Peter Yan. Hell of a fight there. The Aljamain Sterling fight, he did get choked out. That wasn't as good. But like I said, Sandhagen's put on some good performances. Excellent striker. His grappling is okay. Song isn't typically looking to make it a grappling exchange. He can grapple, don't get me wrong, but he looks for the boxing. So this fight, it's going to come down to, what do we think happens here? Does Sandhagen keep it at range, use his dynamic striking that I mentioned, those kicks, those knees, those elbows, punches at range, or does Yudong Song get to close that gap, use that boxing in tight, land the better shots, land with power, because he does probably have more power here over Sandhagen. Sandhagen's got power with the knees, with the kicks. Where Yudong Song has the power, though, is in the hands, and it's not as prevalent for Sandhagen. So for me in this fight, if I have to make a pick, I lean Sandhagen. I think that high level experience, that five round fight experience, that the top tier fighters that he's having razor thin fights with, I think is going to give him the edge. But this is another one. Don't bet on this one. Are you kidding me? Yudong Song here. This guy, he could pull off the upset, I guess. I guess it's an upset because he is a slight underdog. He could pull off the upset here, and I wouldn't be surprised. This is going to be a good matchup. I would not place a bet on this one. This card, like I've said from the beginning, we're going to go on a tangent here. You already got my pick. This card, it has some of the closest fights on it. I've had the hardest time making my picks on this one. I've never had a card where I've had this many fights where I've been so unsure. The picks I like so far, I'll say Loma Lookboonmee, just because I like the experience there. I wouldn't bet on her. Odds are too wide. Joe Pyfer, yeah, you could probably bet on it. I don't think Amidovski's any good. Now he's not at this level, so Pyfer, but the odds are ridiculous. But I do like him. You could parlay him in there with either Tanner Boser or Anthony Hernandez. I do like those two guys. Anthony Hernandez, Tanner Boser. Those are some decent ones. A couple of underdogs to toss a shot on. I don't mind Bill Algio's shot, small one. I don't mind the shot on Agapova as well. I do think she has a solid path to victory in her fight against Gillian Robertson. So to sum it all up, there's a few places here where you've got some chances to take your picks. But all in all, this card is more of the entertainment card. This card is sit back on the couch, put your feet up on the coffee table, crack open a root beer, maybe eat some M&Ms. Chase Hooper would approve. Big M&M guy there. But, this is a sit back and watch. It's going to be an enjoyable card. Don't get me wrong. Very fun fights. Not a lot in the betting way, but in the way of betting. But I did make my picks. Let me know if you disagree with any of these in the comments. I love going back and forth with you guys, as I've already mentioned. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're interested in seeing more picks like this, got Dana White's Contender Series coming up very soon. Got a collaboration with another channel, Art of MMA Analysis, coming up pretty soon as well. Good, fun stuff coming. If you want to see more, like I said, subscribe. If you like this video, hit like. It doesn't cost you a penny. It just makes me happy, and I like being happy. I'm very tired. I worked a long day today, and here I am still getting these videos recorded for you guys because I like doing it, but at the same time, I know you guys want to see the picks. So I will see you guys on the next card. Dana White Contender Series coming next. They will be out before Tuesday. Don't you worry. But stay tuned to the channel. More to come. Pretty soon we're also going to have a way that you can see my exact suggested bets. I gave you a little sample on this one here. It's not a well thought out one. I don't really have any action on this card yet. It's close. It's a tough one. But like I said, I will have a way that you can get access to my suggested bets on the card. It'll at least be for all the UFC cards. I don't know about Contender Series just yet. We're also towards the end of that of Contender Series. But I wanted to get this out to you guys. I also will pretty soon have my detailed analysis sheet. It will compare everyone side by side, all the fighters, their records, their what I like, striking, grappling, offensively, defensively, all that stuff, chin, cardio, everything. It'll compare all that side by side. They're going to be scaled on 1 to 5 pro, 1 to 5 negative. So you're going to get a more detailed analysis rather than just pluses and minuses on the board. If I wrote all this on here, the board would be full. You couldn't read it. I couldn't read it either. It'd be too small. But you're going to get access to that pretty soon, or there's going to be a way for you to get access to that and more to come on that. So stay tuned to the channel. If you stuck around this long, you're the best. Like the video. I'll see you on the next fight card.